Hi guys. I'm Sarah Kokella, and then there's Donovan. Do you want to introduce
Uh,
yourself?
I'm Donovan Jones. I'm a peer financial coach here.
Yeah, me too. We're both peer financial coaches, and this workshop is about budgeting, especially around the holidays. And we have I don't know if everybody has their little craft kits for doing the craft that's gonna be demonstrated by Jenna after we do our presentation. Okay, so Donovan and I are with the University of Oregon's Financial Wellness Center, and we're both peer financial coaches. The purpose of this program is to foster a community of financially capable ducks here at UO.
Well, our mission is to financially empower students with the knowledge needed to make sound financial decisions during and after college. We know there's a lot of things that go through students' minds, like at all times. We want finances to be the least of your worries. So, being financially literate and financially empowered is like the first step to just being comfortable in life, well-rounded.
The big five areas that we touch on in the Financial Wellness Center are earning, spending, borrowing, protecting, and saving and investing. And there's just like the broad categories of being like a financially healthy person or like financial wellness. And kind of the main thing that we begin with is just budgeting and managing kind of how you spend and how you receive. So this is an example of a budget. It's not a grand example because they are deficit at the bottom. So don't do that. But here, kind of in the middle, or not in the middle, near the bottom of the categories, it includes Christmas presents and gifts, which is the purpose of is kind of factoring that into a budget and how to not be deficit when you get gifts for family and friends around the holidays.
And then on this slide, we can see a couple apps that are pretty commonly used just for budgeting. And I know I use Mint, and Mint really allows you to like set goals for budgeting. And I think that's really great for the holidays is knowing what you want to spend and how much money you're going to be spending and setting a little goal, setting a little amount aside, doing the actual math for the most part either, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, I use Mint too, still kind of figuring it out. I'm new to the app budgeting, but I used to do budgeting on a piece of paper, and that was kind of challenging, just keeping everything together and categorized and remembering to put things down when I would buy things, because you'll get home and you'll be like, oh, time to do other things, not write down how much money I spent, because no one wants to do that. So this keeps track of it so you don't have to kick yourself every time you buy something, and remember to write it down.
And then on this slide, it kind of gets into really what our workshop is all about and how to budget for the holidays. So these are kind of just 7 little steps that like we took from a website, just an article to kind of help us guide us along, but kind of make it your own and do what you will. But first step is analyzing your debt, figuring out how much money you can spend right now. Obviously, if you have some debt built up, you want to be able to try and cover that before you go out and spend money on gifts and travel and all the other things on the holidays. The next step is project your holiday income. It might be a little bit different than your normal income because usually you're going to be working 4 weeks in the month, normal hours, and with holidays, you might be taking a week off. You might have holidays off, so you never really know. So you want to make sure you project your income and know what you're going to be able to spend. Then calculating your budget. Just because it's the holidays does not mean you won't be spending rent, what you have to spend it on. And then we go into calculate your holiday spending. What extra money do I have set aside to buy gifts for my family and friends? Or, oh, maybe I want to go on a trip this break. That's when you really calculate your spending. And then you go into filling out a budget and putting all the numbers down on paper, on Mint, on whatever platform you want to use for your budget. And then the next step is tracking prices, depending on what kind of gifts you want. If you're looking at expensive gifts, maybe you look at Black Friday shopping or something like that. Just making sure you have money set aside and knowing where the best price will be and when it will be. And then the last step is stick to it. It's really easy to get off track of spending and budgeting. I know I find myself doing it once in a while. I'm trying to get better. That's why I'm using the apps like Mint. But just sticking to it is the most important thing. If you have a plan and you stick to it, you're going to be successful.
Another thing about apps like Mint and other kind of software to help you budget. They let you set goals for yourself in like different categories. So like if you have a goal of spending $30 on clothes per month, and it notifies you when you've gone over that goal, when you're beneath it, and it helps you kind of become or like create your ideal budget, but make it a reality. And it's really helpful with doing that. The peer financial coaching is one way that the Financial Wellness Center reaches students. In the center, we have the one-on-one coaching, which is virtual right now, but hopefully soon it won't be. We also have these financial education workshops, which we're in at the moment with University of Oregon, and then just with Greek Life with different programs that University of Oregon provides. And so we have a lot of outreach for a lot of different groups here.
One-on-one coaching appointments. You can set up an appointment on financialwellness.uoregon.edu, as you can see here. And you can pretty much come with any questions financially related. Your first person you'll meet with is probably going to be a student, another peer financial coach, and hopefully they can answer your question to the best of your abilities, figure out what you need, and if not, we'll definitely be able to point you in the right direction. So I highly suggest you come and visit us. We can answer any questions you might have.
This is just the web page and how to contact the Financial Wellness Center. It's across campus. We have a variety of social medias. Follow us on any of it. Craft from the Craft Center.
My name's actually Jenna. I'm on Noelle's computer, so
that's right. My bad.
No worries. I just want everybody to know, since I noticed that it says Noelle on there. So I'm Jenna. I work at the Craft Center, and I'll be doing a little bit of a demonstration for you guys today. And for those of you who have the craft kits, you can go ahead and follow along. I was told that there are some still available for people who haven't picked them up yet. And I think Sarah and Donovan might have more information on that. But for those of you who have yours in front of you, you can go ahead and take out, I'm going to tilt this a little so you can kind of see what I have going on here. I have my watercolor paper. I have my little watercolor set. And then it also came with some pieces of decorative paper that we're going to be folding into an envelope to put our little watercolor card in. I also have some colored pencils on the side. And we also have like some little Q-tips and some markers and stuff. So I'm going to show you guys how to, I'm going to do my demonstration with a pomegranate. Because those I think are pretty seasonal. I just think they're nice colors for this time of year. And that way I can show you guys a couple techniques to make your watercolor really stand out and look really nice. Watercolor is pretty easy, but it's easy to make it look better than it actually is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to start with just doing a wash. To kind of warm up your watercolors, you'll want to dip your brush into the water and then drop some. If you're deciding to paint something different, you can go ahead and just put a little dab of water on all of the colors. And then I'm going to start with the red, and I'm going to kind of start mixing that around. And then you can also, if you have a plate or something in front of you, you can use that. But I also like to just use this plastic piece on the side of the watercolor kit to kind of drop some of that paint and mush it around a little bit. And that'll help make sure that the pigment is evenly distributed in the water. And so for a wash, I'm gonna just pick up some water on my brush first. I'm gonna start kind of dotting that onto the paper and kind of swirl it around. And putting water on first will kind of spread the color out, and that's why it's called a wash. So then we'll get some paint. I'll kind of dab that on and just kind of swirl it around. And since I'm making a pomegranate, I'm just going to do a nice big circle. If you really want to get some depth in your watercolor, you can take the time and let it dry between layers. Or if you have a blow dryer. You can also use a blow dryer to kind of like push the water around and dry it up a little bit. And you can get some cool effects with that as well. I'm going to add just a little top onto my pomegranate. And I'm going to kind of shake it a little to dry it out. And so the next technique I'm going to show you is how I like to get a little bit of depth into my paintings. And so I'm going to make a darker red, and to make a darker color, when you have sort of like a limited amount of colors like this, I feel like a lot of our instinct is to just add black to make something darker, but black can kind of muddy things up and make them look a little bit flat. And so I learned that adding like a dark sort of complementary color to your main color will get the same effect. So when I use red, I like to use a darker purple or a blue to kind of add a little bit of a shadow to it. So I mixed around some red onto the lid of my watercolor set, and then I picked up a little bit of purple, and I'm going to kind of mix that around a little bit. And then kind of going back and forth, adding a little bit of more red to kind of get the tone that I want. And then for the seeds, I'm going to just drop pieces of color into the pomegranate. And since it's wet underneath, it gives it kind of like a nice little flare and doesn't make little perfect dots. But it also, since we're not kind of like squishing around, since we're just like picking up and placing, it also adds a nice texture. And if you happen to add too much color, or like you drop something outside the line or something like that, you can take a little Q-tip and just kind of swirl it around and kind of dab it up. And that's also how you can get lighter areas if you want. So on a pomegranate, they have that nice like fiber in between the seeds. And so you can kind of take this and kind of move it around to get a little depth. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take some of the green that I have and just kind of add a little bit on top for a cute little stem. And with this, you know, if you let the layers dry in between, you can pretty much just keep going and going until you get the amount that you want. And then you can also, once it's dry, with my watercolors, to add a little texture to it, I also like to take colored pencils. I'm not going to do it right now because this guy's still wet. But you know, if you wanted to add like a little shading around the side, you could really get in there with all of those seeds and really make them stand out. But I like the colored pencils for the shadowing. So I'm going to maybe add like a little shadow here. And you know, the fun thing about watercolor too is that no matter what you do, just the watercolor itself makes it look pretty. So, you know, looking at this, I feel like mine maybe kind of looks like a tomato, maybe not a pomegranate, but it still looks cute. Yeah, and then, you know, you can also take the pen that we provide in the kits and you can put a little I'm putting happy holidays on mine. Ding. And so now I'll show you guys how to fold the envelope. I found the instructions for this. I just looked up origami envelope. There's a website that has really nice printable photos. If you want to follow along with that later. But I will just show you how to fold a quick little envelope right now. So you start with the pattern side out, and we're going to fold this in half, making 2 triangles. And then we're going to open it and we're going to do the same in the opposite direction. And I think that origami, when I was younger, I loved origami and I loved folding paper. And I think that that's like a really great thing to keep in mind when we're making gifts on a budget, because, you know, you can find paper almost anywhere. And I'm a bit of a collector, and I like to collect, you know, like magazines and advertisements and pretty recycling wrapping paper that people have given me in the past. And it's just really nice. Like, even when I was really little, I used to make folded cranes for everybody, and I would make like a little basket of folded cranes for gifts. And I just think that's like a really nice, it's really nice because you still made it, but you didn't have to like make anything from scratch, you know? So, okay, so we folded it in half, and then we're going to place it, we're going to flip it around so the plain side is facing us. And we're going to take the two opposite corners and fold them towards the center. And then we're going to take this top piece and we're just going to fold it over and crease it. So we're going to fold it over, press it down, and then open it up again. And then we're going to take the bottom and we're going to fold it not perfectly so it matches. We're actually going to take it about an inch up, half an inch up, and fold it so we have this nice little thing sticking up. And so from there, actually, we're going to unfold that again. And then kind of using this piece that we folded up, we're going to fold it in towards the center. And then fold the other side in towards the center. Again, these little pieces are probably about a half an inch wide. And then from there, we're going to fold this up to, you can kind of see the crease. When we had folded this guy up, it made a crease. So we're going to fold this and touch that line up. And now this part is a little bit hard to explain. That's why I mentioned that there is a website with photos on it that are a little bit easier to find, or at least a little bit easier to follow. But I'm going to sort of pop this out and fold it back in. So let me try to explain that a little bit better. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up a little bit. Unfold these first. And then fold this up. And then fold these over. Sorry about that. Okay. So then this is a little easier to explain. So this looks like this. We're going to be popping it out and switching them over. So it looks like that. So again, on this side, we're going to be opening it and popping them so it reverses. Okay, and then from there, we're going to take this whole thing and flip it up. And you want to flip it up so it covers these two guys. And then from there, this one, I think we're actually supposed to take these things and tuck them into these. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to explain this in words. And kind of tuck these guys under. So you'll want like this inner flap to go behind these guys. And you made a little envelope. So we can take our little card. We could write whatever we want on the back. Happy holidays. Stick it in there. And then you have your beautiful little completely handmade holiday card. And it would actually also be fun to decorate the inside of the paper. You could write some things in there if you wanted. So then when the person unwraps it, you could have some more little messages in here. And yeah, that is all I have to show you guys today. And I hope that you enjoyed that.
Thank you, Jenna. Your envelope definitely looks better than mine.
It's very hard. I definitely, for anybody who
Yeah.
wants to do origami, definitely following pictures is a lot easier than following somebody talking.
This end bit is a little tricky, but I'm sure there are more instructions on the internet too for making envelopes, or you know, you could write a card inside of an origami, you know, crane or something. But these watercolors are just like one way of like many different ways with crafts or making your own gifts, just to be kind of financially aware during the holidays when you make gifts for people, and you don't have to go spend so much on a single gift for one person, then do it for every person. But you can get like a watercolor set or some colored pencils and some paper and make gifts for everybody that way. And it's really very efficient, and it's sentimental too, because you made it yourself, which I think is really sweet. Mm-hmm. One thing that I've done with just making things for people without spending a whole lot of money, I've actually taken like recycled cardboard and kind of cut out and made like a little, this is with like hot glue or staples or even just like Scotch tape, making a little picture frame and then putting like a picture in it, or like putting like, you know, you could put a watercolor in it, and it's really cute, and people usually like them.
Yeah, and you don't even need watercolor paper. We gave watercolor paper and decorative paper in our kits, but that's what I was kind of saying with the origami is like you could use magazines, you could use newspaper. For watercolor, you could just use printer paper. And you can also, if you don't have watercolors, you can also use markers. And then maybe take a Q-tip and dab some water on just like any kind of Crayola marker, and it actually gives a pretty similar effect, and it looks great.
I also really like the idea of using these watercolor paintings, especially these like small kind of card size ones, like using them as just a card. Even you could draw something and or paint something, and then maybe on the back or include like another little piece of paper, like like a card just to go along with it. And I feel like that would be way better than any probably store-bought card. I know I'd feel much better to get a hand-painted card than some store-bought card.
Yeah, especially because then, you know, I have a lot of cards that my friends have given me up on my wall, and then it's like an art piece and a memory at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it's also improving you as an artist, you know, especially like Sarah said, getting a watercolor set and then making, you know, however many cards that you need to make. It's fun because then you get better and better every time, and you learn, and it's sort of like self-care at the same time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's personal when you make a card for someone, and it doesn't need to be like a store-bought, like, you know, happy holidays with a glitter tree. Like you can include like some personal, you know, pictures or stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can also, just talking about budgeting, just so everybody knows too, like you can get 50% off coupons for Michael's and Joann's, and then, you know, that's an even bigger price off of whatever, budget you had for gifts.
Exactly.